Look at this.
Okay. Oh,
Got Tommy T.
Tommy Tucker. What did you have to do, Mark? Did you have to pay money or what?
No, he was easy. I tried to get Pam to come down. She didn't want to.
Okay, that's fine. Hi, Tommy.
Howdy. I'll twist her arm next week.
Okay, good.
Please do.
Good.
Please do.
Mark has to have a new guest every week.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
assignment.
I can go back to our conference room where I can put about 10 or more in there, but don't need to do that with just two of us.
No.
No. And I appreciate it. Yeah, we're a little bit early.
So Tommy, how's your latest project coming?
Well, it's coming slowly.
Slowly?
It is coming along though.
Are you running into all kinds of things you didn't know you had?
Well, no. Let's see. Did you know what my last project was? I just added on to a house.
Oh my gosh. Which one?
One on 20th.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's always fun.
yeah,
Yeah, having done that, I know that's not very much fun.
right. This is our second time for adding on to this house. So
Oh my gosh.
He has to have a
Now,
process.
Tommy, is this the one that's over near where George Davis's house was?
Caddy Corner. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So that's that street that's kind of windy?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like that street. I like that.
That is a really
Yes.
cool street. And it's interesting, and it's just that one block that's that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wondered, who thought that up?
Somebody probably laid the street pattern out wrong, and that's what they had to do.
Right. And it's one way. It's one way too. So that doesn't.
Oh, it's one way? Yeah.
Yeah, it always was.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it's narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is Robin? Is she doing good?
Robin's fine. Yes. She went somewhere today.
Okay.
Trying to think where she went.
Okay. Oh, my.
So Raleigh,
Yes,
how's business?
business is great.
Is it really?
It really is. Yes. Ever since
So
the
what-
virus,
Yeah.
since the virus thing came on and back in March, we've been covered up for some reason. Don't know why.
Gosh.
You think more people staying home decided that maybe they needed more security?
That could be. Yes,
Yeah.
that could
Huh.
be. But the thing is, we're all over the countryside. We're down in Cincinnati, over in Dayton. If you know where Fort Recovery is, we're up in there. And matter of fact, I was almost at your house the other day. I was in Avon.
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
why didn't you call us?
Yeah.
Well, I was
we were
working.
gonna hear.
I was working on a safe, and it took 6 hours to get in that safe. So,
Oh my gosh.
And what you got in it, was there anything in there?
yes, there was.
Okay.
So, but that's what we do. We run every place. We've been
What the
down.
heck?
Yeah, we've been down to Vero Beach, Florida. To Dodgertown. You know where Dodgertown is down in Vero Beach? It was. It's not anymore.
No, I don't think we know what
Yeah.
that is.
We used to service their locks on their training camp down there. And we been to Savannah. One of my guys flew down to Savannah on a Saturday for 15 minutes to do a job.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and that's, I don't know where they're getting our name, but they're getting us someplace, and we're every place.
That is amazing.
That is amazing.
That is, so are they getting it off the internet?
They have to be. Yeah, they have to be.
Crazy.
But we'll keep them busy.
Oh, there's Diane. She's a ghost today.
Oh, there she is running around. Every time Diane joins us, she's always out doing
She's
something.
always in
Here
the
she
yard doing
comes.
something.
Let's find out what she's doing today. This is very interesting,
There
Raleigh.
she is.
Hi, Diane. Hi, Diane. Oh, unmute, please. Can you unmute?
Or maybe not. No, you have to go into your participant list. We can't hear you.
No.
Hiya.
There, now we can hear her.
Yeah.
Now we can hear Diane.
There's Diane,
Okay,
Yeah.
there's Diane Clausy.
the two Dianes. Now, Diane Kalazzi, what are you doing today outside?
Well, this morning I worked in the yard, and this afternoon I've just been reading.
Okay.
Oh,
Just
what are you
enjoying.
Good.
Yes,
So did the sun finally come out?
oh, sun's been out all day.
Oh my
It's-
Oh,
gosh.
good.
It's in the 80s probably.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
very nice.
Great.
Are you cloudy over there, Diane?
Yes,
Reverend?
there is
Yeah.
a little bit of sun right this instant. There is some sunshine, but it's not a great deal.
Yeah, yeah. We just have it popping in and out
Yeah.
today.
So, Diane Kalazzi, what are you reading today?
Uh, I'm reading Thomas Jefferson. And
Okay.
I read 1776, then I read John Adams, and now I'm reading Thomas Jefferson. And they are
Oh my gosh.
fabulous historical novels written by great authors.
Oh my
Wonderful.
gosh.
Okay, and all by different authors?
Well, 1776 and John Adams were by the same. Thomas Jefferson is by John Beecham.
Okay.
It's excellent.
Well, now, can you send out a little thing that, where you would recommend those and say, the name and the author, and then I'll put that out to everybody next week,
Oh, okay.
if you don't mind.
No. But I have to say to Dave Harold, I sent my husband his article, his lecture, and my husband was in the Navy also from 58 till 64, and he was a lieutenant, and he said that it was spot on. Everything was, riding in the water, trying to eat during a storm.
Yeah, it's a floating.
He had been through many of those.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Because to put a piece of bread below your plate, that way it won't slide around.
Right.
Also, that's
He
the
was
trick.
on a minesweeper, so
Oh,
very
yeah,
a very small ship in typhoon across the
They're a little
Atlantic.
smoother. They're a little smoother than a destroyer, but they also
Smoother?
ride over things that explode. So it don't.
It
Yeah.
just sounded horrible, Dave, that whole article. Oh, dear God.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Oh, I thought it sounded great.
Sounded great.
Only stay on for a minute. I have news for
Okay.
you.
Okay.
My husband last week when we were on our Zoom call, some people came to the door and I had to leave really quickly. He fell off his bike and he has 5 fractured vertebrae. So we're in the hospital.
Oh
Massive.
my gosh.
Oh,
So
Oh.
anyway, I just wanted to say hi and have you keep him in your thoughts. Tom's
is he
his
at
name.
Kettering? What hospital, Karen?
We're in Miami Valley South.
Miami Valley South. Okay. And
Yeah.
has he been there all week?
Yes. So, yeah. Of course, he refused the ambulance, so they brought him home. But Sunday morning, he needed the ambulance to get here. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
my
I'm so
gosh.
sorry.
long time. But I'm thinking about all of you. Okay. So
We'll be
Okay,
thinking
Karen.
about you.
Karen.
all
Hey,
right,
Karen,
thanks.
if you can, send an email during the week as to how things are going, and I'll send it out to everybody.
Do I just send it to you? I'm not sure if I'll
Yeah,
know
just
how.
send it to me, and then I'll put it out to everybody.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can figure that out. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate it.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Man. So Jane, you came on late.
I know.
Karen said that did you hear that part?
No.
So she when she was on last week, all of a sudden she got up and she had to leave real quickly. And it turned out that neighbors had come to her door to let her know that her husband had fallen off his bike. And it turns out that he fractured how many vertebrae? 5 vertebrae. in
Five.
his
Oh
neck.
my. And she was just telling us how he rode his bike every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So she
terrible.
was from the hospital. She was
Oh,
calling in
dear.
from the hospital just to tell us hi.
So he's been there for a whole week?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, that's
Wow.
awful.
Yeah.
not fun.
Well, I
So
was
Jane,
having,
now that you're on,
I was
give us
having
an update on
technical.
Dave.
Well, I'm actually in the hospital room in our,
Oh,
no, in our house.
Okay.
So you can see his bed. He is in the family room on his lazy boy, watching TV, and I was having technical problems with my laptop, so I just took it to him and he fixed it. So let's just say he's doing much better.
Great.
Jane, that is just amazing.
It's
It-
just so weird, Jane. It's so weird. Yeah.
It truly is. He
You
just
know, I
had a
heard- Yeah.
cup of soup and a chicken leg for lunch.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
So
Man.
How is
Yeah,
his
it-
breathing?
that's fine because I give him medication for it, and that really helps.
It's
So,
Shame Christmas.
yeah,
Is
and
he?
so he can walk with his walker from in here out into the other room.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's wonderful.
It
Major
just feels like the
improvement.
chemo was
That is
what was
great.
making him so
I,
sick.
I was going to take him outside in the wheelchair because he hasn't been out of the house in like 3 months. But
that's
our air
good.
quality isn't very good today. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the fire.
yeah, I mean, I don't know where it's coming from because we don't have any fires here, but I guess it's coming from
California.
California.
Yeah, it's blowing. Yeah, yeah.
So, anyhow, we've had a great week.
Good
Well,
deal.
that's great. You know,
I
keep,
know.
knock on wood and keep it up. And is he doing any physical therapy at all to try to get his strength back?
Yeah, he does 3 times a day in the bed. He does leg, exercises for his legs, and then he's worked himself up to 5-pound weights for his arms.
Oh,
Man,
Whoa.
And he does that 3 times a day,
good.
Has he gained some of the weight back yet?
maybe a
Is he-
pound.
That's good.
Yeah.
At
At least
least
he's
it's
not going the
not
other
going-
way.
It's not going down, and
Yeah.
they're going to take his catheter out on Wednesday. So,
Oh, really?
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be glad of that.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. Well, he's kind of, it's real easy this way, but it's not good to have it in very long. So,
No, no. Oh,
So-
You
gosh.
need to tell him the trick.
anyhow.
What trick's that?
The catheter trick.
What the catheter? Oh, you mean how to take it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Is it a Foley catheter?
It's the
You know-
kind that has a curve on it.
Okay.
And it's like a balloon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the folk.
Yeah, I finally figured out you can just take that thing out yourself. You don't need those people. You don't have to go into a hospital or you don't have to go into a doctor's office. You can just.
Yeah, but see, the nurse will be here on Wednesday. So,
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
well, what the heck? Is she good
yeah,
looking?
I'm sure not going to take it out. Yeah, it's a little hefty, but they are all so nice. They really
Good.
are. One was here today to give him a bath, and
All
just-
right.
they're just great. So,
Well, tell him to tell the nurse on when you say Wednesday
yeah,
to take her time.
okay.
Take her time.
Well, you know that.
Don't do it real fast.
Okay. Well, the interesting thing is it took 5 times to get it in, and he doesn't.
Oh, geez.
And he doesn't remember any of it.
Well, that's
well,
good.
thank goodness.
That's good. That's a good part. That's good.
So
Okay.
who knows?
Well, I don't know if any of the rest of you guys out there have experienced that, but boy, woo.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you haven't been through childbirth, Tommy.
Well, that's true.
True.
Never
That's
will.
true.
That's true.
True.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
Hey,
That's
Dick
really-
Houston, who was that young lady helping you out there, buddy? Why did you need help?
Oh, that was my daughter, and I always need help. You know how I am.
Okay. Okay. Did you guys notice that last week Bob Van Pelt wasn't with us?
Right.
Yes.
And so I didn't think anything about it. And I tried calling him once during the week, but I didn't get him. But that's not unusual because I've done that before and didn't get him. Well, then my former college roommate, who was also a center and a long snapper, just like Bob, and he's also a big golfer, and he follows Bo like crazy. And he sent me a message. I think it might have been, when was it I called you, Dick? Was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway,
Before, yeah.
he said, hey, it must have been Thursday. He said, hey, he says, I was watching the tournament and all of a sudden it said that Bo took himself out of the tournament unexpectedly. Is
Oh,
Bob
no.
okay? And I thought, oh my God. So I called. I didn't get him yesterday, but I finally got him today. And he said, no, I'm okay. But his Bo's 17-year-old son somehow got an infection in between two vertebrae in his neck. And they have no idea how that could have happened.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
Dr. Houston, I just thought you'd find that interesting because I had called Dick and I said, Dick, do you know anything about Bob?
I couldn't find him.
So,
I didn't hear a thing about it.
so anyway, but Bob said he was going to join us a little bit later on. And I think all of you, well, maybe Raleigh, you weren't on last week, and Tommy, you weren't on. Tommy, are you getting those emails now?
TK, which,
Tommy Tucker.
Tucker.
I think Robin's getting it.
Okay.
Okay, well, I
She's like
screwed
that.
up last week. I'm recording again this week, only this time I was had the presence of mind to record it to the cloud. So now I can just turn around and send it out. As soon as Zoom sends it back to me within like about a half an hour, then I can send it out.
It took me 4 hours
What?
to get that video into YouTube.
YouTube. So we had to go to YouTube.
Uh-huh.
Probably should have called David Harold.
Yeah.
See if we could have used SAP somehow to figure out.
Get that in there.
I could help you with YouTube too.
Well, darn, there's another person I can call.
But I don't know if any of you have tried it or checked it out, but it came out pretty good quality. And she actually, to put it up, I don't think she had to, but she actually reduced the size of it.
From like 900 gigabytes to 2.
And so
It
she
was
thought the
pretty good.
quality would
It's
be bad,
okay.
but it still turned out
It's
pretty
okay.
good.
So where do you find it?
YouTube.
I know,
Well-
but YouTube what?
Well, no.
No.
So I embedded it in the email I sent out, the reminder email for the day.
Oh,
All
I
you
didn't
got to
see
do,
that.
it's just another URL. You just click on that URL. I've got a little blurb that says, hey, if you want to see the thing finally from last week, click on this. And it'll take you, now, do you have a YouTube app on your computer or your phone or whatever? I think
Probably.
you might have to have a YouTube app to get YouTube. Do you, Dave?
Oh, you can just go youtube.com.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, it should, if you click on that, it should take you right there. It'll just be is it a red screen with a little white thing and an arrow in the middle or something like that? You just click on that and it'll start playing it.
We hope.
Did you
Well, I
name
tried
it?
it out.
Yeah, he did it. It came through on his. So
What'd you say, Dave?
Did you name it something so they can search for it on YouTube?
No. Well,
What did
yes,
we
you
name
did.
it?
You did name it.
but I don't know what we named it.
Let's see, RHS class of 63.
That's the login.
Oh, I don't know.
You
She
can probably
named it
just, you can probably just key in RHS class 63 and find it.
Maybe.
Yeah, but you should, you should be able to just go to that email I sent out yesterday and click on that URL and it'll
Just like
take you,
yeah.
it'll pull it right up.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Tommy, speaking
Yeah.
of YouTube, there is the explosion in Richmond in '68 is on YouTube. I think it's called 143 or 142, which was the time of day that it exploded. And it's about an hour and a half. My brother was here this summer and he told me about it. And it's we started watching it, but it was longer than that I went. But it's supposed to be on YouTube, and I haven't gone back to it yet. But it's about an hour and a half, and it goes into the entire history and how people thought it was a riot, some because during 68 we were having lots of problems.
Yep.
Racial riots. So it's go look at it on YouTube.
Okay. And you say it's 1:42, the time.
Right, and it
1:42.
also, I think it also comes up under Richmond, Indiana explosion.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll go out there and find that and include that in the email for next week. So everybody will know that. Okay,
And
that's
good.
By the way, we've been talking to Carol Fleming a lot, and she's really being bothered and almost threatened by all the fires out in Oregon.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't even go outside. And one night she thought they might have to evacuate, and then the winds shifted. So.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
I think it was on the national news last night that they were evacuating lots of suburbs of Portland.
Yes.
But she's not in Portland, so.
Right
She's
across the
just
river.
across the river.
Yeah.
She's just
Yeah.
across the river. Yeah.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah,
it's TK.
yeah, TK.
I just checked. The name is 147, 1:47, parentheses documentary about the 1968 Richmond explosion. And below it, there are several other choices as well. Richmond explosion 50 years later.
Oh.
Is one.
Oh,
147, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Okay. Now, before you guys all got on there were just a few of us on, and Raleigh was telling us that his business in Richmond, Indiana, called A1 Lock, right?
Right.
A1 Lock, and yet his business is all over the United States.
Really?
What?
Come on, tell us again about this, Raleigh. Give us some more stories about this.
What?
We get calls out of Cincinnati and Dayton and Fort Recovery, Savannah, Vero Beach, Florida, and probably up in Michigan. There's a place up in Michigan we go to. And don't ask me how they get us, but they get us some way, and we go. If they got the money, I got the time. So.
Wow. That's
Oh my goodness.
And Mark Dooney's a good customer too. I gotta say that. So Mark and Rhonda.
Do they keep locking themselves out of their safes?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you probably have to keep getting into a safe, right?
Mineral property, we gotta keep rekeying.
Oh.
Yeah, rekeying thing. Yeah, but in these other things, it's electronics and safes. The out of town calls are.
Huh.
But I'll take it. They call us, so I'll take it.
Raleigh really helped my dad get into his old safe. Remember that about?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And he was just sure there were all kinds of things in there.
Yeah.
We got in there and there wasn't anything. And of course he thought somebody had broken in and stolen everything. I had the combination, but he was very patient with my dad.
Yes. I like your dad.
That's cool. So, Dave Harold, why don't you give us a little bit of the flavor of that talk, or whatever you call it, you gave to the Citadel? In fact, how did you end up having to do it at the Citadel? I've got a niece who works at the Citadel.
Yeah, I used to teach business process reengineering and organizational change at the Citadel in the evenings. And one of the recruits down there said, "What's it like on a destroyer?" And I said, "Sort of like a floating prison with bad food." And I said, "The average prison sells 25 square feet. Officer's stateroom is probably just a hair smaller than that. And 2 guys are in there, 1 desk, 1 chair, 2 bunks. If you're lucky, you get a porthole, so you have a view. And then on our ship, I didn't go into great detail on that. We did have a fire on the ship, which is absolutely frightening because there's nowhere to run. So you either put it out or you go down. So
Wow.
that the food is pretty good. The officers had to buy their own food in the Navy, so we eat a little better than the crew. Berthing compartments. There's usually three berthing. I'll call them cots high on each side of the stanchion. So there's 6 guys within a, I don't know, 6x4 space. No partition between you or anything. You've seen more naked guys than you ever wanted to see in your life.
They weren't old.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
there's just no privacy at all. You go to the head, all the urinals are there. There's nothing between them. It's opposite where you shave. So you're trying to shave, and what you see in the mirror is guys going to the bathroom. You walk further back, and there's some shower stalls. They have curtains. They're right opposite the toilets, so you have to watch that too.
So any modesty, you just have to get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get over it.
My fire control guys had a radar room, so I used to sneak up there, close the door, and lock myself in just for privacy every once in a while. Because even the officer stateroom, there's just a curtain there. And there's 2 guys that bunk in that little space. You know, and I thought I had it made for 2 years. I did not get seasick at all. Other people got seasick as soon as we threw the ropes off. We're off Cape Hatteras. We hit a hurricane. And we had 70-foot seas.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And it's the first time I ever seen the props of an aircraft carrier out of the water up on the crest of a wave. And I said, oh boy, those guys are really sick, I bet. And the captain says, you know, we ought to take some motion sickness pills because you and I are about the only ones still standing. I didn't get those things even down my throat, and everything I ate for the last 4 days is food. And it took me close to 20 years before I could eat shrimp again, because that's what I had just eaten.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
And you actually literally stood 1 foot on the deck and 1 foot on the side of the radar console to stay straight. And I'm watching the inclinator on the bridge, and it's going 40 degrees, 40 degrees. And all of a sudden it goes 47. Well, that's just about where a ship will capsize. And I started praying. I don't pray a lot, but it just stood there and it shook. And then it came back down, hit the wave. The bulkhead broke, right? Our life raft fell off. Yeah, it was horrible. We were in it for 3 days. And I thought I was going to die.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So the other frightening time when I was on the ship was we were in the middle of a gunfire in Vietnam. We had fired roughly 80 rounds out of Mount 2, and the projectile jams in the breech. Captain looks at me and says, well, you better go get the gunner's mate, Dave, and go down there and take care of that. I'm going, what? He says, yeah, that's your job. You're the weapons officer. I go, what?
Oh.
So I'm in there with the gunner's mate, chief gunner's mate. Everybody else is on the fantail of the ship, which is 400, 200 feet away. I'm going, okay, chief, what do we do? He goes, well, I have a brass crowbar and a brass sledgehammer. And he says, your genitals are probably going to be in your throat shortly as I bang on it. I said, they're already there, chief. So he starts banging this thing with a crowbar. This is like a 5-inch 38 shell, which is 38 inches long, 5 inches around. The powder casing's broken. There's powder laying in the hot breech. We got a fire hose running down the gun barrel. Hands me the projectile and says, get rid of this. So I jump out of the gun mount and the executive officer standing there. He goes, make sure you mark that projectile with a buoy. I goes, here, I'll go get one. It wasn't in here saying 2 seconds before.
You handed it to him?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's and I thought when I was enlisted before I became a lieutenant, getting drunk was easy, but when you become an officer, that's a pretty dangerous thing to do. It's a little short story. And we're in Greece. It's 11:30 at night. And back then you had to be back to the ship by midnight. I'm walking by this bar and there's the captain sitting in there. So I said, oh, I'll walk in and say hi. And he's drinking ouzo. I don't know if any of you have ever.
Oh my gosh.
I said, hey, Captain, I didn't think we were supposed to drink that because some of it's got opiates in it. He goes, it ain't bothering me. Why don't you have some? So we killed 2 bottles of ouzo with beers in between.
Oh.
And I said, it's 12:30. We're going to miss the last Liberty boat back. He goes, yeah, we better get going. So he stands up and falls flat on the floor. And I went, oh, crap. So I just sit there and I waited for Shore Patrol to come. They strapped us both in gurneys and carried us back to the ship like that. The executive officer standing on the deck, he goes, okay, I want to hear the story in the morning. Right now, go to bed. He says, I can't even talk to the captain. He don't even know what he's doing. It was funny.
Well, if you had to get drunk as an officer coming in, like it's best to be with the captain.
Oh yeah.
I want to know, how did you go from being enlisted to a lieutenant?
Well, we were in the Mediterranean, and I remember this guy's name forever. His name was Lieutenant Junior Ray Grigsby. He was our weapons officer. And we're all up in the gun director. I think I was working the radar, and Grigsby was working the director officer. Well, when you slew that thing around, it's 12 tons of metal with a big telescope coming out the side. And it slews at 60 degrees a second. And the captain's standing right outside. Normally you ring this warning bell. So he didn't ring the warning bell and knocked the captain flat on his butt out on the deck. He come walking up the ladder on the outside. You see this arm come down in the canopy, and it grabs Lieutenant Grigsby by his tie and pulls him up and goes, get the hell off my ship. Ooh. We highlined him over to an aircraft carrier.
Oh my God.
And my buddy and I said, well, what happens now? He says, well, you and Al Martz are going to take over duties as the fire control officers. I'm making you a warrant officer right now.
Wow.
Really?
We got back from the bed and we both got to go to the Naval War College for a year. And I finished my college at the Naval War College, believe it or not.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the next man up.
Yeah, because you couldn't, back then you were taking, I don't know if you've ever been in the Army or not, substandard recruits, which means they couldn't pass the IQ test or anything. So we had 30 of those guys on our ship, and you couldn't get a new officer to fill the billing. So they just promoted me and Al.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's cool. Well, by the way, Dave has some other stuff that he's going to send me this week, right, Dave?
Yes.
I have a couple things. The stuff that is in the National Archives, which I submitted some things to, they're clean, but I'll add some there to where it's appropriate. Especially when we hit certain Liberty ports, there's some real good stories there.
Well, you can't take those out.
No, I'm going to put them back in.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you think people can't get drunk in a half an hour, believe me, we had people coming back to the ship with Shore Patrol in 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow. Well, sounds like college days.
Yeah, there's something to the truth of a drunken sailor, believe me.
There you go.
That's great.
Yeah, I'll
Hey,
pass the
Bob.
stories along. I have a news article they wrote about me here in Charleston too. It's pretty good.
Okay.
I'll send those along.
Send all that stuff, and then
send it if you
I'll
can.
include it in the next email.
Okay.
Sounded
That'll be
great.
good.
Hey, Bob.
Bob Van Pelt.
Mom.
Yes, right here, Tom.
I told him that you gave me a scare because my former college roommate called and said, hey, is anything wrong with Bob Van Pelt? So I told him that I talked to you today, and you've clued us in about Bo's son. So I
Right,
don't
yeah.
know.
I'll just throw everybody in real quick. Bo's 17-year-old son, who Tom Kinder knows more than anybody, Trace Van Pelt, is a lacrosse player of some retort and a good kid out in Oklahoma, has a spinal infection no opening in his spine, and came through the bloodstream. And they've got him back in Tulsa at St. John's Hospital, and he's on heavy doses of IV antibiotics and obviously saline solution, just turning over all his body fluids. Probably 3 days in the hospital, and then maybe 4 or 5 more days at home is what they thought, TK. But should fully recover. No contact sports for 4 to 5 weeks, but healthy body normally can come back from that.
Hmm.
Did a lot of work on WebMD and Cleveland Clinic today on spinal infections.
That's good.
Unbelievable. I had no idea they'd come through your bloodstream just like that.
Yeah. Any ideas how it occurred?
Pardon?
Any ideas how this occurred?
No idea whatsoever, Tom. He had a pain in the back of his shoulder, almost at the end of his shoulder blade where your spine is, and couldn't put a handle on it. So they've been around, some of that stuff. And Bo got hooked up with a buddy of his down in Dallas. And he actually went to St. John's Hospital, met Bo there when he came home from California. And they got him blood tests, MRIs, everything you can imagine. And about, Bo called me about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon with the results of everything.
They had no
idea how it started.
Wow. I was over at the VA hospital one day, and they said, "Oh, we just got back your blood test results. You have an infection 3,000 times normal." And I go, "Okay, what are we going to do about that?" They said, "Well, we like to do apheresis and take all your blood out, cleanse it, and put it back in." I go, "Well, do you guys do that often here?" He goes, "Oh, you'd be the first guy." And I said, "Well, I think I'd like to talk to my primary physician."
Yeah.
So I ended up
I had
getting
no idea
iron transfusions for like 6 months, which cleaned it up.
Wow.
Wow.
Johnny Having, it looks like are you traveling?
You're sideways, John.
There.
Soccer game.
John,
Just wanted to say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Johnny.
Road warrior.
You know who had a similar episode to Bo's son? Rick Jordan had that. Died. That was it.
Who's that now?
Rick Jordan.
Tell us again, Dick. Repeat that again.
You know, that episode that Bob was describing for his grandson, Rick Jordan almost died from an infection like that, an unknown spinal infection that came out of nowhere. Still don't know where it started, but that was years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but it was a long time ago. But he was, it sounds like the exact story.
Dick, like I said, I'm an amateur MD, and I was all over the website today, and it scared the heck out of me that it can just start in your bloodstream. Yeah. Maybe self-generate somehow or another, they thought. So.
Would that be from an insect or like from a bird or something that he may have come in contact with?
No idea whatsoever at this point. Now, maybe something will come up later, but as of yesterday at 4 o'clock, no idea.
Wow. Could this have anything to do with the virus, you think, Huey?
None of that, Tom, and no mention of meningitis, which was the first thing I thought.
Oh, yeah,
In your teenage years, sometimes that happens, but no mention of any of those things. So,
wow.
Hey, well, I've got you all right here. I was telling Tom this morning. Bo Van Pelt is doing a podcast. Some of you I'm sure are familiar with it and have found it. It's called Both Sides of the Ball. He's with a black friend of his that worked for Sports Illustrated, who's now an independent sports writer named Farrell Evans. And they take on different topics with different guests every week. This was their 4th week. And Tom and some of you may know the name Rick Rowley, who's one of the most famous sports writers ever worked for Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated, yeah.
But they had Rick Rowley on this week, and Rick Wiley has a new book called The Chairman of Cheat. And the
I know you
book is
talked.
about Donald Trump's ability to keep score in golf.
Yeah.
And a lot of cute stories about how the tide must have blown his ball back up on the deck, on the
No.
fairway and out of the lake, and some of those kind of things. But whether you're a Trump fan or not, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's another one of those that I'll have to say a mea culpa. Jane Ann finally went out and researched and found the link to Bo's podcast, and I meant to send that out yesterday and forgot also. So I'll be sending that out this week, so that all you have to do is click on it if you want to, if you're interested, want to go out. It makes it easy to find the
A
podcast.
couple of things he's got coming up, Tom. Michael Presti, who some of you know is a local sports writer.
Oh yeah, great writer.
Mike will be on, I don't know when that's coming up, but pretty quickly. And then Jim Nance from CBS, who's a great friend of our family, will be on there again sometime or another. So we've got a nice lineup of guests. He's starting to develop an audience.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. How did you guys become acquainted with Jim Nance?
Through CBS Sports and Golf, Tom. All of my contacts with golf are through my son.
Yeah.
Jim Nance is a friend of Del Harris's, Tommy, down in Houston. He was down in Houston when they had the Phi Slamma Jamma team and played golf with Freddie Couples down there when they won the national championship in golf. So we had something in common to talk about the first time I ever met Jim Nance. And since then, we've become good friends. Bo every now and then sent me a message, said, Dad, I saw Jim Nance, said to ask how you were doing. And Jim's well aware of the MS and all that kind of thing. So just, again, through life and through the course of the golf thing, not a great friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's neat. That's neat. So,
Talking about Trump a little bit.
Susie,
We
what
went
exciting
to,
things have happened to you this week?
What is that? Cookies, brand new.
What did you say?
I said you, Susie Ross.
Nothing. Nothing
No,
exciting.
come on. You had to have something exciting happen this week.
That's where they.
No, nothing.
Nothing on your commute going to and from work or nothing.
No. Same old, same old.
Okay. All right. Okay, Harvey, you're up. What happened this week that's exciting?
The only thing exciting out here is everybody's trying to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been ugly. You know, the air particle thing on you count it on the iPhone there. It's like 228 or something yesterday, and it's called very unhealthy, and it's been hazy and weird and ash on the cars. It's still been bad.
Harvey, when Bo was on the driving range out there the other day, the sky was orange. It was unbelievable how scary it was.
Yeah. So he didn't play in the tournament though, right?
Yes, he was. He was actually reported there and then had to come home with his son.
Okay. Because I thought he was supposed to play, and I was looking for him, and I noticed he didn't play. So.
Yeah, he had a family emergency with his boy, Harvey, and I'll give you details when you hang around.
All right. Hope it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's fine, I think.
Good, good. Anyway, so it's been a little bit weird out here that way, but other than that, you know, everything's okay.
What? How close are the fires to you guys?
I think I'd say probably the stuff that was in Sonoma County and a little bit of Napa. That's like 25, 30 miles. But it's amazing how much soot gets on the car. Like my wife went out yesterday, Rosie went out and hosed down her car because her car is usually outside, and it's because it's just kind of stuff. Even wiped off our front door, and
wow,
the guy across the street just bought this house.
Over 1 million acres.
Oh yeah, it's been I forget what they say now, but it's amazing how much has burned, and
incredible. Yeah,
and it just seems to be every year now. So it's a big deal in the insurance stuff that I do, and nobody wants to insure people up in any kind of remote areas. So
and the majority of this fire was started by birthing.
a lot of stuff. So we had lightning on one. We had the thing in LA where they had a gender reveal party.
A gender reveal party, that's what it was.
Yeah, and that started a big deal down there.
That is
And
cool, gender reveal party.
and it's so dry, you know. We get rain starting in around November, hopefully, and it goes for a few months. But it gets real dry about now, and we've had all this tremendous heat for us. I mean, it was 100 here in Oakland last week or whatever, and we never get that, and it was. So it was pretty uncomfortable.
Now,
so all those
are you better
combinations.
now, Harvey? The heat's broken now, isn't it?
Yeah, the heat's broken. Yeah,
Heat's
it's
broken.
you know, yesterday was probably 65.
Whoa.
Right.
Yeah, which is kind of our normal. Although we September, October is really kind of our best weather. We have nice stuff around that time, and about the time, you know, pro football starts and everything, any of the football. So but tomorrow the 49ers are supposed to play, and the NFL's got a rule that if the air quality is over 200, it's not supposed to play, or at least they talk about it. And it was over 200 in Santa Clara where they play. But today I looked at it, was 188 down there. So they'll make up something, they'll play, but it's not healthy. Nobody's out walking like we're always out walking. Nobody out there.
Wow.
Well, Jane said that you guys need to keep it there because she's getting your soot.
That could be. We'll blow it down to Scottsdale.
Yeah. Well, I have a brother who lives, I think I've told you guys before, he lives up there in Humboldt County, which is way north, and they're getting all that.
Yeah.
Not bad.
They don't ever get anything like that.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty country where your brother is.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, he tells me that if it gets above 70, all the people who live there think it's hot.
I'll bet. I can imagine. I mean, that's kind of the way it is a lot with us. I mean, certainly in the city in San Francisco, which is only, you know, it's 12 miles from where I am, just across the bridge. And, you know, it'll be 75 here or 78 here, and it'll be 65 in the city with wind and fog. And then if you go through this little tunnel out by me that goes out to further out in the East Bay to Lafayette or into Walnut Creek, I mean, it's 95 out there. So in a half hour's time, you can go from 95 to 65 because you're closer to the water.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Whatever you like, you got choice.
You got it. That's right. If you like the heat, you can go
That's
out
why
to East Bay.
See you, bro.
So TK, so what's the weather like where you are today? Is it chilly? I noticed you've got on a sweater.
Yeah, it was chilly earlier. I think it's around 70 at the lake right now and warming up. So we've had some lower 60s and middle 60 days, probably more like Harv's weather. But that's below normal. It was about 10 days ago, I think it was low 90s. But after living in Richmond, LA, and Atlanta, I think the weather forecasters here, I don't think they're that poor a quality of a weather forecaster, but they never get anything right around here, but whatever. So I've learned to not pay attention to the forecast, but
they can say anything, Thomas. Sometime during the day it'll be right?
Yeah, that's right. Like a clock, it's right twice a day, and a tire's only flat on one side and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Be positive.
So Diane,
yes.
When Dave Harrell was talking about his experiences with being on a ship during a hurricane and the high waves and all that kind of stuff, did you ever experience anything like that with all of your travels? Because I know you've done a lot of traveling.
No, I've been very lucky. Only one time I was on a cruise in the New England going into Canada and going around Newfoundland. There was a lot of turbulence, and they had set up lunch and everything fell down.
Yeah.
Crystal was on the ground. That's really the only time I've ever had any any bad weather.
Well, we had, go ahead and tell the story. Yeah, we had a bad experience, like, and in fact, it sounded a lot like what Dave was describing.
Yeah, we were on a cruise ship from Vancouver to Anchorage, and it started in the morning, didn't it? And the captain came on and said it's going to be starting to get bad. So we go up to the very top of the ship, and we're sitting there, and it's just, you know, kind of good. Well, by the time it got to dinner, they told they were giving out pills to everybody so that they wouldn't get seasick. And we decided we'd go to dinner, and we had 6 of us, and 3 of us went to dinner. Did 3 of us go to dinner? 4 of us go to dinner. 4. 4 out of 6 went to dinner.
Well, yeah, 2 of them didn't even make it to
2
dinner.
didn't make it.
One couple, she made it to the door.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, now get ready for this, you guys. So, you know, if you're feeling queasy now, I'll be careful. He makes it to the table, and he sits down, and he looks at us, and all of a sudden he says, "Oh, he says,
no. I can't make it."
And he turns around, and if you guys have been on these cruise ships, you know they can be pretty fancy in the main dining thing. And this was Diane, this was the night where they did the baked Alaska, you know, big fancy thing.
Big fancy thing.
Well, by that time, 2/3 of the crew, they were all sick. And this guy that was with it, and he was always a funny guy. And I thought he was just joking. And he gets up, and there's this couple sitting next to him. And we've been sitting at the same place all week, and we met this young couple, and they were on their honeymoon. And they're sitting at their table for 2. And it's kind of next to like where they have plants, you know. And he gets up, and he throws up in the planter right next to the table.
Oh, God.
That ruined it for them. They had to get up and leave. And it was absolutely.
One of the other guys and myself, we were the only 2 that did not get sick.
I did not get
He
sick.
didn't get sick, but almost.
But I felt bad.
We went back to our cabins, and of course the captain's coming on saying, "It's okay, you know, it's gonna be okay." And the huge cruise ship was going like this to the top of the waves, and then it was crashing down, and it did this for hours. He told us we had 50-foot seas. When I ran up there around the corner to get to Anchorage, I mean, it was.
So the secret is crackers and milk and green apples.
Yeah,
green apples.
Yeah, I had green apples.
Well,
yeah, I was feeding him green apples.
Yeah, that saved me because they ran out of pills.
They ran out of pills.
Yeah. They ran out of all the medicine, and then they had these big, humongous baskets of green apples.
Yeah.
And I said, "What the hell? I don't feel like eating any." They said, "Eat that apple."
Yeah.
So.
And it was just
crackers and milk are easy to clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I ate were green apples. I didn't have anything to eat that night. I just kept eating green apples, and I think I would have been okay, but everybody throwing up around me got to me.
Yeah.
That's one of our wonderful cruises that we went on.
And by the way, was yesterday 9/11 or was that?
Yes, yesterday, yeah.
Yes, we were on our way to Alaska.
So we were on our way to Alaska, and so we finally dock in Anchorage. And
get on the train.
We didn't even go to a hotel. We got on a train. So it was kind of like a week on the ship, and then a week on the train. And the train then was going to take us all the way up from Anchorage to Fairbanks. And in between, you go to Denali Park. And we were fortunate in that we saw the mountain every single day.
Yeah, that was
that Mount?
What mountain is that?
Whitney? Or
Mount McKinley.
McKinley, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody always says, well, when they go up there, they never get to see it because it's all cloudy and it's fogged in or something. But we got to see it every day. So we get up to Denali Park, and
we had to leave, at 5 a.m.
And the very next morning was 9/11. And we had to get up at like 4, had breakfast at 5, got on the bus at 5:30 to head out into the wilderness. And we saw the most beautiful sunrise. I remember that day out the back of the little bus that was taking us out into the wilderness. And we got out, so about halfway, about lunchtime, we got out there and we noticed some people were talking to one of the park rangers, and everybody started kind of like getting around him, talking to him. And he said, yeah, he said, I don't know what's going on, but he says, I'm not sure what's happening, but he said, it sounds like a plane, an airplane hit one of the buildings in New York.
Yeah.
And everybody thought, well, like it was, a small,
A little plane.
private plane, just an airplane, And it wasn't until we got back that night from this trek out into the wilderness, which was very cool. We saw bear and everything.
Yeah.
But when we got back that night, that's when we found out about it.
Yeah.
And so, because, it had been happening while, I don't know what the time difference was,
I
but
don't either.
3 or 4
But
hours.
anyway, that was our first experience buying travel insurance. And we were stuck for 2 weeks getting home. We were gone a month. And my aunt happened to be on a plane to New York City that day. And obviously they didn't fly in there. They put it down in Chicago and didn't even tell them where they were. She had to call somebody to come and get her.
So, on this trip, we were supposed to go on this train on up to Fairbanks.
Yeah.
Well, if you check out where Fairbanks is located, it's only like about 200 miles from the North Pole.
Yeah.
So once we found out that we were stuck there, and now, okay, it's the middle of September, I'm thinking, well, shit.
It's going to start snowing.
What the heck if it starts to, wait a minute, we may get stuck here all winter. If we're up by the North Pole.
The Arctic Circle.
Well, thank you.
Or whatever. But
whatever
I'm telling you, so Fairbanks was really cool, but we eventually got out of there. Did we do the train back?
No, we flew.
We flew back.
It took us forever to get on a plane.
Yeah. We actually even did a boat ride up a river while we were there. We did the whole trip actually.
Yeah.
But when we finally got back to Anchorage, we were stuck.
Yeah.
Because what kept happening is all the cruise ships kept coming in,
Unloading.
letting people off, but then you
They
couldn't
already
go
had hotel
anywhere.
reservations.
And no planes were flying.
Yeah.
And all of that. So every day, the 6 of us would go out to the airport and see if we could get on an airplane. Now, you know how it is today in our airports where, my God, if anybody even thought to even bring any kind of a weapon into
the airport.
into an airport, it'd be like, oh my God. Well, let me tell you, the Anchorage airport was so full of weapons, you would not believe it, because all these guys had been taken up there to go on hunting trips and fishing trips and been just dropped off and left, and no cell phone service. They got left up there because there were no planes flying. They were supposed to be picked up and nobody picked them up, and they didn't know what was happening.
They were supposed to be somewhere at a certain time on a certain day, and then nobody came to get them.
So eventually, when the plane started flying again, they went up in there and they got them out of there and brought them back, but they had all their guns. And they were all laying around the airport, and there were all kinds of guns and
It was unbelievable.
bows and arrows. Just every kind of thing you can imagine. I mean, it was just absolutely surreal almost. It was like, man.
Wild West.
So
Wild West.
Yesterday was 9/11. So where was everybody else on 9/11?
Taking Dave for a colonoscopy.
Okay. All right. So how about you, David Harold? Where were you on 9/11?
I was at a Honeywell factory doing the plant maintenance install up in New Jersey somewhere.
Okay, so you were in the United States.
Yeah, everybody stopped working. We all went home.
Yeah. How about you, Raleigh?
I was working, of course. I got a story about that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Peggy and I was flying someplace, either out at Las Vegas or on the East Coast someplace. And this guy was across the aisle up one seat. I told Peggy, I says, watch that guy. So we start watching him, and everything the flight attendant did, he wrote down. And after all this 9/11 stuff, all these pictures came up with these people who caused the thing. That was one of the guys.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of the guys.
Oh
And
my
he was
goodness.
Yeah, he was taking notes of what the flight attendants was doing.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Garrett, huh?
Nice looking guy, black hair.
Wow.
Yeah. Something to think about when you're flying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Mark, where were you?
Sales meeting. It was a Tuesday morning, and right here in this office, we had a meeting, and I can remember it just like it was yesterday. It was 19 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
And then we went out on tour of new listings, and every place we went, we want to listen on the radio what was going on, or we'd go in somebody's house and turn the television on and watch it. So it was a day you'll never forget. And then if any of you watched some of the recaps yesterday, you know, it's kind of sad, especially with what's going on in this country. A lot of the people who are causing the problems across the country weren't even born
I know.
19 years ago. And if they were only 4, 5, or 6 years old. They just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Tommy Tucker? Where were you?
You know, I have lost that. I don't exactly know where I was that day.
Wow.
Were you drunk?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Tommy doesn't drink.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Story about the 9/11 day. My father and I was across the street at Vigran's, work on that side door lock, and we got called out to unlock a house out on Strader Road. And when we got called out, the thing blew up. So that's how close we came to it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And one of the guys that works for me now, he was in the State Theater. He was 10 years old at the State Theater. Yeah. It was a shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. If you were at Vigrant, so what was that? 2 blocks away?
No, it was right across the street.
It was right
Oh my
across
God.
the street?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Whoa, I didn't. Okay. Okay.
You're talking about the explosion?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, he's talking about the explosion.
Where Elder Bierman's is now was where Martin Arms was,
Okay. Wow.
right? And then Vigrants is just across the street on the south side.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember, you know, we were talking, I want to come back to Dick Houston in a minute, but I don't want to forget this. We were talking last week and we were mentioning Marlon Vigran. Does anybody remember Lenny Zucker?
Yep.
I remember Lenny.
Yes.
I remember her.
Little.
Yeah, Lenny, her birthday was the day before mine. And, you know, you mentioned last week, Tommy, that, you know, like you didn't know any Jewish kids. And there were 4 Jewish kids in our class. Lenny was midterm like I was.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many years ago, it's got to be at least 20 years ago now. She was in San Francisco or something, and we had dinner together. She lived in Louisville, and I think she had twin sons, but I don't really remember much after that, or you know, kind of what happened to her. But yeah, she was in Louisville.
She was a really cool,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, tiny little.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, Susie can relate. Tiny.
We could talk eye to eye with her, couldn't we, Sissy?
Yeah. But what was the name of their store?
It might have been Zucker's.
Was it?
No,
It
Little
could have
Miss
been.
Richmond. Little Miss Richmond.
Little Miss.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Little Miss
that's
Richmond.
right. She had a brother Jerry, and I think he became an optometrist. And you know, not much else. Yeah, they lived on. I think they were on 19th.
Yeah.
Who were the other 2 Jewish?
Rita Edelman for a while, and Marlon Vigran.
And Marlon, yeah.
Marlon, yeah.
Yeah.
Because on
Well,
something like Yom Kippur or whatever, the 4 of us would take the day off.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. And then another person that it made me think of, not because, but then it started making me think of all the kids whose parents owned stores. So, you know, Marlon, it was Vigrants, and Lenny was Little Miss Richmond. And she was younger, but she lived on the same block as I did, only on, let's see, I'm on 14th Street. And that was Bubby Romy. Do you guys remember Romy's?
Yeah, I think so. Was that a furniture store?
It was more like a department store, and the thing that always made it so attractive to me is because down in the basement they had Lionel trains and a big train thing set up and down there.
Well, there was a young woman named Pat Romy. Is that the same name?
They had at least 4 kids. Bubby, the son right below, or just a little bit younger than Bubby, was like J.P. Romy or something like that. But okay, well, anyway. So.
I remember the train at Neff and Nussbaum shoe store. You remember
that?
Yeah.
You used to go in, you'd have your feet x-rayed to make sure that your toes weren't touching. Probably getting all that x-ray back then.
That's right.
Mark, was Pat Romy a year behind us?
Say that again?
Mark Dooney, was Pat Romy a year behind us?
I think she might have been our class, or my class, Bob, 62.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because I used to try to hide from girls in those days, but I had 2 or 3 dates with Pat Romy, but I don't remember much about it.
Where did she live?
They lived up by Pleasant View School, I believe. Up north on
Buttermilk Road.
Buttermilk Road, that's it.
Yeah, sounds familiar, yeah.
That was their old home place on Buttermilk.
Romy's was a furniture store right next. It's where the sporting goods store, Kessler's bought it, and the Dickman family own it now. And right next to it was Dunning Furniture Company. And I got a picture of it right up here in my wall in the 50s. But they used to have, at Christmas time, they would have Santa Claus on a sleigh. And that sleigh has been displayed in the corner window just last winter. That same sleigh that Santa Claus used to sit in, and they sold toys. And then Dunning's had a nativity scene in their window. And Dunning's sold out to Hackman Eckamar in, I think, 1961. When their store had caught on fire down on, I think, 9th Street and burnt down. And so my grandfather sold our business, or his business, to them.
Well, I remember, at Romy's, that's where you always went at Christmas time to go see Santa Claus.
Santa Claus looked like my grandfather.
Tom Tucker. Really? Tom Tucker. Do you remember a gal named Bonnie Weisner?
Oh, I remember Bonnie. She did my
class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody ever know whatever happened to her? She was in my homeroom, really nice person, as I recall.
Yes.
Didn't she marry or date Mike Golden?
I think she married Mike Golden, didn't she?
Might have married him.
Yeah, Mike Golden. Whatever happened to him?
He passed
I don't know.
He passed away.
Oh, we did?
Years ago.
Yeah, quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
When I went to test with Mike Golden, we were doing the homeroom thing, and here's where you're going to sit. And he says G, I go Golden. Then he stopped, and I kept going. So that's how I met Mike Golden.
How many of you guys remember Sandy Cook?
No.
Okay, well, she was in our class. She's married to John Daner right now. But she lived in Spring Grove Heights and went to Catholic school all the way up to a senior. Then she was in my homeroom. I didn't even know that until a week ago when I went over their house. They're going out to
Sandy Clark?
Clark, not Cook, Clark.
I was going to say,
Sandy Clark.
I'll look her up in Hungarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah, okay, well,
very nice lady.
She's She's married to John Daner, and they're going out to Friends Fellowship as soon as they open it up. But I didn't. She was in my homeroom, and I didn't even remember. But previous marriage, I sold her house.
She may have had an older brother too, if I remember right. There were two of them lived up there by Porter and those guys up.
She lived next to Sandy Tagler.
Here, you want to see a picture of her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sandy.
Yeah, it still looks like that.
Oh, that's Nancy.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey, Mark.
Sandy went to St. Mary's. She was in my class through the 6th grade. Jim Hoke class too, and but yeah, she stayed all the way through the 8th grade. I may call Sandy. I had sent her an email to invite her, and I was kind of surprised that she hasn't joined in on this.
Well, I've talked to her about it.
Because she's come to the reunions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark. Mark.
Yeah.
I know Sandy and John very well.
Yeah, they live across the street from you.
Right.
Well then, hey Raleigh, go tell Sandy that I want to see her next week on this.
Okay, I'll tell Sandy that.
Yeah, and tell her that if she'll get on here, then I'll get some more St. Mary's kids on here because we got too many St. Andrews kids here.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I talked to Pam Denning, and I tried to get her to come down, and she said she didn't want to, but Tommy's going to talk to her because they get together every Sunday out at Frank Alder's place.
Yeah.
Do farming, planning. I think you're done now.
Yeah.
And but she says she reads all the emails and she really appreciates all the emails. So I think there's a whole lot of class members that are reading those emails, and but you know, for one reason or another, don't want to get on Zoom.
Yeah.
Is there an audio only component if people don't want to show their faces these days?
Well, I tell you,
You could audio.
So I wanted to, that's one of the reasons why I decided I was going to start recording this and including that in the emails so that maybe they would watch it. And then if they watch it, they'd say, oh, well, okay, that's not so scary. You know, so, well, you know, I'll just keep trying, but, you know, like Raleigh, if you can try with Sandy, because I really have been surprised that Sandy hasn't joined us.
I'll
Really
say something there. Yeah, I'll say something.
And then Mark, you can keep working on, you and Tommy can work on Pam. I'm quite surprised that Pam hasn't joined us because Pam has always been very helpful to me on the reunions.
Yeah.
And
Very
where
helpful.
in the heck is Carol Gaydosh?
Partying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if she joins the other one because that's coming up this week, next week.
Has she not even been joining the one with just the girls?
When is that?
When?
The 18th?
The 17th.
The 17th. Oh, 17th. Okay.
Oh gosh, I have another Zoom on the 17th.
Hey, Jane?
Yes?
Was Billie Jean Flood in our class?
Billie Jean?
Flood. F-L-O-O-D.
No.
F-L-O-O-D?
Yes.
Let me look.
Went to Hibbert, didn't she, Dick?
Not in the book, I don't think.
No.
I remember the name and I kind of.
Not? Okay.
I'll see if she was
I've got-
doing this.
She might have been a year ahead of us, Jane.
Oh, ahead of us, Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she was a year ahead of us, you know, we can look in that
7
gold
minutes.
fire and find some people out. I was going to look up.
I can go
Patty.
get it if you want me to. Let me go get it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hang on.
But
Do you ever order cookies for special occasions? Any of you?
Yeah, I do. We send them as gifts.
Marvin and Billie Jean Flood's son, Greg, is in Wichita, Kansas. He has a company called Flood Bakeries. He's got a huge website. And he ships stuff all over the country and all over the world.
Yeah, look it up.
Basis. I just got in a box from one of my kids. They're 2, 3, 4 dozen at a time. They come in a Tupperware container, sealed and wrapped. All the COVID stuff's out of the way. Delivered right to your door. The Tupperware containers is yours, and they're unbelievable. They taste like they were made this morning.
I'll check it out, Bob. We do that sometimes at work. We send
Oh,
send
sure,
stuff
yeah,
like that
I'm
out.
sure you do, yeah.
Bob, we had a Marvin flood, but that's
Marvin is our age.
he was
Right.
a year ahead of us.
Yeah, this would be Billie Jean was his wife.
Oh,
Marvin
so
worked at Belton. I think Billie Jean was teller at Second National Bank.
so what was her maiden name?
Wow.
Oh my gosh,
Wait, stop, damn.
Bob got stumped.
You knew everything.
I'm stuck.
Just
I
to,
cannot answer the question, Jane.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, for next week, you got to tell us what her maiden name
Yeah.
was, man.
Well, Dick Houston's got the Hibbert yearbooks.
Oh, lay it on Dick.
Okay.
Dick says, man, I can't find anything where I am right now. Everything's
Tell
boxed
you
up.
what room it's in. I don't know which box.
uh,
And he's moving.
So,
I have all my yearbooks handy, so.
Okay.
That's awesome, by the way. That's great.
so Bob, back to these cookies. So are they just like all different kinds of cookies?
Yes, they are, Sean.
Okay.
I've actually got a box right here.
Hey, Tom,
Give me one, Bob.
Tom,
Yeah, really. I'm hungry.
hey, Tom.
Ooh.
Can you see that?
They come in a.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
they come in a
And
Tupperware.
it's sealed and wrapped to your door, fresh as a daisy. I mean, I just gave a couple of nurses that couldn't believe it.
Cool.
What?
Tom. Hey, Tom.
yeah.
They are good. I've had them.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Blood Bakery, Houston, Texas.
I'll have to order Tom.
The
Okay.
website,
Yeah.
email.
So we got distracted
Yeah.
on 9/11. So Dick Houston, where were you?
We were in the airport in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I just been there looking at a possible job, and the only thing that stands out in my mind is they told everybody to get off the airplane, leave your stuff because you can get back on later. And they were lying. We weren't allowed to get back on the airplane. But my wife saved our tail. She said something's not right, and she renewed our reservation at the hotel where we had stayed. And so we stayed in the hotel in Milwaukee for 3 days until one of our kids drove up and got us.
Wow.
And Jane, where did you say you were?
Well, I was taking Dave for a colonoscopy, but 2 days after that, my son and I were supposed to fly to Vermont to visit Judy because he was
Okay.
home visiting. And so we just got in the car and drove all the way to Vermont.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Wow.
Out there, Judy had just put a horse down, and they had the horse on one of those lift things. And they were just getting ready to put it in the ground when we drove in.
Oh, geez. That's
So-
sad.
Her whole town, they had flags flying everywhere. It was really amazing.
Yeah. So Susie, where were you?
I was going to work, of course. What else?
Okay, of course. But did you turn
Thinking,
around?
no, I went on to work, but I was thinking, oh my gosh, everybody will be in my office today because of trauma. But there was no one. There was no one that showed up.
Mhm.
The next day was bad, but that day was not bad. So, yeah.
Okay. Diane, were you in a foreign country?
I was getting ready to go to take a group to Ireland. We were
Oh.
supposed to leave 2 days. We were supposed to leave on the 12th, no, 13th. So obviously we couldn't.
Right.
And so we rescheduled it for the following June.
Okay. So you didn't lose any revenue then? Oh,
Frozen.
we froze.
How
I think
about
she's-
Diane Duncan?
Yeah, where's Diane Duncan?
I'm here. I'm here.
No.
I I was working in Greencastle at a church there. And I can remember so vividly coming downstairs and my husband was watching TV and it was on TV and I couldn't believe it. But I had to go out into work because there was a lot to do there in relation to how people were dealing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tom?
How about you, TK? Where were you?
Oh, I was at home in Atlanta. Betsy was in Chicago on business, and I'd just taken a morning walk in the park, and had left the television on, and I walked in, and there was one of the towers was obviously on fire. What? I mean, it's like so surreal that, like, wait a minute now. Let me go back out and come back in again and see if this really has happened. But Andrew was out of the house by then, so I was home alone. And I think Betsy had the forethought to, once she realized what had happened, to get one of the last rental cars out of Chicago. She drove home by herself. I don't know how many miles that is, 800 probably.
Long way.
Yeah, so she drove from
But
there.
she would have landed, and who knows, but yeah. Unbelievable.
So Bob, where were you?
Tom, I was at the Hyatt Regency on Capitol Square in Columbus, Ohio for some meetings. And then we had a big food show right in the convention center right next door. So when all of that happened, they had 2 big screen TVs in the food show. And obviously everybody was there. But the lockdown of the state capitol was something I'll never forget. I mean, they had people come in there from everywhere. They had EMTs, bomb cars, or bomb squad. The whole thing got locked down. You stayed in place until that night. And they finally turned us loose about 11 o'clock that evening.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the state capitol building, if you've ever been there in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were really frightened, and no one knew enough information yet to discount the possibility that anybody in America could be affected by this. Are there more planes that are going to blow up?
Tom, my old professor, Dr. Berry at IU, said there are 2 major fears that human being has: the fear of change and the fear of the unknown.
Right.
As I go through life, Dr. Berry was exactly right. I mean, that's what's going on with education now. It's what's going on with 9/11.
Yeah.
Fear of change and fear of the unknown are the 2 biggest fears we have.
Yeah. So how about you, Harvey? Where were you?
We have insurance-wise, in the stuff that I do, they have a national convention every year in September, and it was in San Antonio. And I had gone a day ahead of time because I do business with USAA, that insurance company that you see some ads on. And so we have a kind of a program with them. So I went a day early to visit them at USAA there in San Antonio. They have a huge complex there. It's like the second biggest in the country outside of the Pentagon or something. It's a couple stories, but it just goes forever. And they insure all the military, and especially they insure the big guys in the military as well. So they have everybody's records, like a Colin Powell and all the big shots. And so I called up, and they said, well, you're not getting in here today. I went, as I said, I went a day early. So I was at the Hyatt Regency, I think, in San Antonio. And that place was on lockdown because they have a lot of kind of secret, they have addresses and phone numbers of all these military people. So they locked that place down. It's always high security anyway. And so the convention wasn't going to start till the next day. Well, of course, nobody came because everybody got grounded mid country. You know, they landed all the planes, and so I was sitting there. And one night I'd take one guy to dinner who came in early, and next night he'd take me to dinner. And I stayed in San Antonio from like that Tuesday or whatever to I think Saturday or something when the plane started flying. The other people that had come early, there were maybe out of the close to 3,000 that would come to this thing, there were maybe 150 that could come early. And a lot of people, like you said, rented cars, drove all the way to Virginia and everywhere. And I'm not a great long distance driver, so I couldn't see renting a car. And it was going to take me 2 days to get out of Texas, and then I got to get to Phoenix and Los Angeles and home. So I stayed and got out of there about whatever it was, and whenever they started flying, like 4 days later, something like that. Thank goodness they had a Dairy Queen in the hotel.
Yeah, Queen in the hotel.
Well, you guys, it's 4:20.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have, this was fun. This was fun. And I'm going to look up some more people. I messed around with so much stuff this week that, but I'll try and see if I can add some more people. And I'll, you work on Clark, Sandy Clark. Mark, you work on Pam. And I'll go back.
Tommy's working on
Oh,
Pam.
Tommy's going to work on Pam. And I'll
I
go
had
down through here
contacted
and
Jack
see.
Rowe.
Oh, what about Jack?
I had sent him a message through Facebook and said we were doing this every Saturday, and if he would send me his email address, we would add him to the call. And he said, I will, and then I never heard anything back.
Okay.
So
Jackie Rowe used to live next to me on 18th Street. And when he was a little guy, they moved out to 22nd Street.
oh, really?
And,
Well, some of the people like Skip Haynes, I think I've got his email. Julia Jackson, Becky Jessup, Jane Johnson.
How about
Sherry
Linda
Kimber.
Raper?
wow. Linda.
I don't know if I have, if you've got her email, send it to me.
I don't. Okay, Diane, you do. Okay.
You do? Okay.
Is Linda still in Denver, Jane?
Pardon me?
Is Linda still around Denver somewhere?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Education out there forever, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Alan Parker?
Oh, yeah.
Tony Parker.
I'll mention him, yeah.
I'd love
Alan Parker. Let me see here. I think I
he's
tried
still-
him, and I think I don't think I can. Let me look real quick.
He's on Facebook if anybody wants to contact him. Jane, the Richmond High School Alumni Association wants to contact anybody that's made a living in education. And they're starting that program actually this week. So they're accumulating names and addresses and all that of educators.
Cool.
So the class
Okay.
of 63, I know, has a bunch of people that were in education all of their lives.
You know, I never hear from that association anymore. I used to get that slick little quarterly newsletter, and then it got reduced, and I don't get anything from those guys anymore.
You have to pay your dues.
I pay my dues. I give them extra.
Dan Gal's still there, Mark Bridget Hazelbark Baker. I think the same secretary is still there.
It used to be Dwayne Hodgson was running it, right?
Yeah, I'll call her. Yeah, I'll call her this week and see if I can
How
find out
about
what's
Sandy
going on.
Armacost?
I've
That's
tried
Dwayne
to
for
get Sandy. She hasn't even responded to me.
Really?
And I've got their phone number, so I'll call her.
If you guys know anybody that lives here in Richmond that doesn't have computers or would want to do it on a regular basis, I can set it up in our conference room. I could probably get 10 or 12 people in there off my laptop on it. Then we have a huge screen that everybody'd be on. You know, I thought that'd be a kind of a good idea to get some people, you know,
Yeah.
like the Andy Vandervoorts and that type.
That'd be great.
Hey, Tom Porter.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the people I know, they may want to be reassured that they're not expected to check in every week. You know, they may want to try it once and see if it's appealing to them. If not, you know, just there's no pressure, but the regulars here are enjoying it enough to come back most weeks. So that might be something to say to people when you're trying to quote sell it to them. I don't know.
Yeah, I have done that when I've reached out to people with a separate email and just tried to encourage them to, you know, and said, hey, if you'd be interested, I'll include you on the distribution list. But I explained to them that it's just one of those things.
Good.
Like I've been calling it hop on, hop off, just like those buses, you know, in some towns where you can just hop on, hop off whenever you want to do it. You don't have to be on every week. It's just always going to be there. If you want to get on, get on. If you want to get off, you get off. And even during the time you're on, you could get off. Or get off, you know. So I've tried to do that, but I'll keep doing that. And I agree with you. I've been trying to think of all the reasons why people might be reluctant or whatever. What was it I was going to, for instance, Mark, like, I think that there are some people that may have the ability to do it, but maybe for whatever reason, like Dick Bird. I even spoke with Dick, and he said he was going to have his grandson or somebody help him out, but I've never been able to get him on there. Dick might be, he might be willing to come down, with you guys at your office.
Yeah.
But he'd be one that I know he has the technology, I think.
He just doesn't know how to do it.
So unlike Andy, who doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So
I'll talk to him as well, TP.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have contact with Mary Vance at all, but I think Mary's still working in a retail store in Bloomington.
Yeah,
She works at Target.
She's at Target like on Sundays, but
somewhere,
I mentioned it to her too, but
yeah.
So far she hadn't done it.
So I doubt if she could do this, yeah.
So we'll this week I'll try real hard to just work on people.
Did you talk to Sandy Armacost, Hodgen?
He's going to.
I had sent her an email, but I didn't call. But I've got
I can
her
call
phone
her and
number.
see her.
I've got his phone number.
They're in Richmond now, right?
Playing pickleball.
Yeah.
Mark, they're
And
playing
so
pickleball every day.
I know that Sandy, has the technology, but maybe for whatever reason, but if, maybe she'd be willing to come over to your office.
Well, I have the instructions on how to get on the app on your computer. So anybody, it's not hard.
No.
It's just those things, those changes, Bob.
It's those changes, that's right.
Fear of change.
Changes.
Changes, that's right. Good, Harvey, that was good, man.
Me.
Well, you know what, Mark? I'm thinking seriously, maybe I'll call you this week and let's go through some names. And maybe what I think you should do is let's say, hey, I'm having a party on Saturday. And it's kind of like a class party, and it's going to be in my conference room. Maybe we can approach it that way.
They have virtual wine tastings now. I don't know quite how it works. I think it'd be wine, but yeah.
That's a good idea.
That'd be a good opener.
I'm for it.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well,
All right, you guys.
let's all work on people this week. Okay. This was
Great
fun.
work.
I had a good time. I hope you guys
Bye,
did.
everybody.
See everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
Have a good week.
See you later.
Okay. I won't end it until you guys get off.
No, I can't even turn the damn thing off,
Okay, well then I'll turn us off then, you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Because see, if I turn it off, then it turns everybody off. That's why I usually don't do it till everybody else is off. So, hey, Dick, have a good week.
Okay.
I may call you, and I may split up some people to call.
Okay, yeah, let me know. I got time.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Tell Donna hi. Tell
will.
her I said hi. Okay. All right, see you later.
All right.
I'm ending the meeting for all.